So hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be talking about outbreak of revolution. So whenever a king want to take a decision regarding any bill or he want to pass any bill, so he don't take it all alone. The decision is not taken by him. He consult the other people, or like in India we are having the ministers, those who consult the king. So in France, the official of the state were used to consult the king for passing any bill. So the king usually don't make laws all alone. They consult the official of each state means, as I said, they cannot make law all alone, because definitely they are making laws for the people, so they have to pass laws which is in the favor of the majority people. So one such meeting held on 5th May. On 5th May 1789, Louis XVI called the meeting of a state to pass new tax laws, because as I have said, the France was under a loan of 2 billion livres, so they have to pass a law regarding the new tax law or the new tax bill on 5th May 1789. So the first state and the second state, they together sent 300 officials, and the third state sent 600 officials. This is a very important point, that the first state and the second state, they sent only 300 officials, while the third state sent 600 officials. The reason is, as you all know, that 90% of the people were the peasants, so the population of the third state was very much, and that of clergy and the nobles, that is the second state and the first state, was very less. So the voting was done on the basis of each state having one vote, and members of first state and second state. Now this is the second part. So the voting was done on the basis of each state having one vote, means the first state is there and the second state is there. So the first state will have his one vote, and the second state will have his one vote, and similarly third state will too have his one vote. So the voting was done on the basis of each state having one vote, and the members of the first state and the second state, they sat facing each other, while the third state officials stood at the back. Means now there also discrimination was against the third state members, as the first state and the second state, those who were already given so many privileges. So here also the officials, they were sitting facing each other, while the third state official, those who actually pay the tax, or the third state, those who actually pay the tax, they have to stand at the back. And also the third state opposed the king's proposal of each state having one vote. Means, as I have said, each state having one vote means first state will have his one vote, second state altogether the member of the first state will have their one vote. They demanded that each member should have one vote. Means the third state demanded, like what happens in our country also, each person in a country is having his one vote, and each vote has his own rights and values. So here also, each vote of the each members, like 300 officials, which is the first state and the second state, together they have sent. So 300 votes will be from their side, and the 600 votes will be from the third state, and I think that is normal. So they opposed the third state members official, they opposed the king's proposal. So after this, on 20th June, the third state member, they assembled in the tennis court and declared themselves as a national assembly. Means on 5th May 1789, they opposed the king idea of one state, one vote, and they were also little bit discriminated, or they were very surprised also. See, first of all, they were very surprised, and they were discriminated also. Their official were discriminated, and each state will have one vote, so definitely they will be left over, because the first state and the second state always prefer the king, so no decision will be taken in their favor, and they are the actual taxpayers. So in spite of having so much burden, they still took it calmly for so many years, but their anger broke out, and on 20th June, the third state member assembled in a tennis court and declared themselves as a national assembly. Now they didn't adopt any violent options. They understood the need of democracy, and they formed a national assembly and took a pledge to draft a constitution. This is very important that on 20th June they took a pledge to draft a constitution. They assembled in a tennis court. It was an indoor tennis court in Versailles. So they assembled there and pledged that they will not move from there till they draft a constitution for France. So the leaders were Mirabeau and Abbé Sieyès. So Mirabeau was a noble, means he belonged to the second estate. He belonged to the second estate, and Abbé Sieyès belonged to first estate. He was a priest. He was a priest. So an important thing to note here is that they both were not from the third estate. Means they both were not having any kind of pressure to pay the tax. So they were knowing the problems of the third estate, and they understood that why this revolution need to be bring in France. So these members, as I've said, in spite of belonging to the third estate, they helped and they also even leaded to draft a constitution for France, which helped the third estate. So Mirabeau was a well-known philosopher at that time. So after that, while National Assembly was busy drafting constitution, a severe winter caused bad harvest. Like when they were busy drafting the constitution or protesting against the government, a bad harvest hit France and the angered public took a violent step. So see here, they were non-violent, as I have said. They formed a National Assembly, but here also they took a violent step, and all this together created an impact which we will see further, that they have attacked the king's palace. And so after this incident, the king accepted that his power will be now under check. Now king was also knowing that they were drafting a constitution. The king was also having a fear that if the constitution is drafted, then his power might be checked. And when the crowd took a violent step, when the harvest was very bad, as I have said, it led to subsistence crisis. Means the basic livelihood things are also not available. So the crowd becomes uncontrollable and they does something which changes the history of the, or which makes a good or a bad remark, anything it can make in the history. Like the farmers protest, the violent step, they were so calm, but that one violent step at the Lal Killa was, a bad thing for the farmers protest. So as I've said, violence can be good or bad, but here we see the violence is good because the king accepted. He was having fear also that they were making constitution, and now the king accepted that his power should now be under check. So on 4th June, the assembly passed a law. Still the constitution is not made. They passed a law abolishing the feudal system. The feudal system is that the first estate or second estate, the privileges which were given to them, that system will now be broken, and no tithes will be taken. The tithes were the tax which was collected by the third estate peasant by the church. So no tithes will be taken, and land of the clergy and the noble. Land of the clergy and the nobles were taken. See here, three important things are there. That on 4th August, Assembly passed a law abolishing feudal system. No tithes will be taken, and land of clergy and nobles were taken. So the land of clergy and the nobles were taken, and the cost of their land was around 2 billion livres. Livres is the currency of France at that time. So 2 billion livres. Imagine how much big amount is there. 2 billion livres loan was around France. And just think how much the third estate peasants have to pay. So as I've said, the suppression at one time changes into a revolution. So all these things together, on the pressure was so much on the farmers that it came out in the form of revolution, and the history of France changed. Like the Indian history also, when the pressure was so much on the Champaran and the peasants were ill treated, the Simon Commission, the Jallianwala Bagh, so much things have happened. Gandhi following the non-violent act, which was good for the country, and the other freedom fighters who believed that by violence only we can break. So the cumulative effort of both the non-violent and the violent together made India independent. So here also the non-violent which drafted constitution, and the other the public which have done a violent step. They all these things cumulated, and the history of France changed from here. And after that, the all the powers now, his power will be now under check, but after this his power will be completely taken. So that's all for today, and see you in the next video.